Yo, yo, yeah, I'm good, bro. Shit, how about yourself, my man?
Man, real good, man, real good. You've been doing this for a long time, man. You're a veteran in the game. Memphis is one of those places where there's so much talent. You know what I'm saying? You were coming up right in
Oh
the
yeah.
midst of all of it. What are your roots in the
Yeah.
history of Memphis rap?
My roots in the history of Memphis rap. Okay, well, let me see. My roots. Well, I'm pretty much rooted in the Memphis sound. So yeah, man, I go back. I say I probably like 93, 94. Started in high school. Coming out the hood, man, really just kind of creating my own sound, man. Really just, doing me, and the rest is just history, man. I did a lot of production for a lot of the artists that a lot of people familiar with, back in the days. Some, even they ain't familiar with, but yeah, man. I touched on everything. I done work with some of everybody. I've been working with a lot of artists out of the city since, like I said, 93, 94, 95, 96. So I'm pretty rooted.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely, and that's like the golden era of Memphis rap right there because you had so many people, Indo G, Little Blunt, of course, Triple
Yeah.
Six, Player Fly, all these guys, Squeaky. You know what I'm
Man,
saying? Who are some of
what
the
you
cats that,
always
that
ask,
you made tracks with over the years?
man, let's see, well, like you said, you named some good names there, but, like I was going to say, you want to talk about roots, I can go back even farther, man. Like, me, honestly, like, I remember the first inspiration, man, honestly, out of the city, I go back to, like, DJ Spanish Fly, you know what I mean? Like, Gangsta Pat, the Legion of Doom, and,
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
Tony, you know what I mean? That type shit. So when I first started, that's kind of like what I used to do. I used to listen to a lot of that DJ Spanish Fly and, like I said, Gangsta Pat. If y'all go back, y'all pretty much, know them names. But as far as like people I've worked with, that people may be familiar with from the underground scene, of course, Player Fly, Gangsta Black, I've worked with, let's see, man. Oh man, it's just so DJ Sound. Let's see if y'all remember DJ Sound, he go back. Of course I work with Squeaky, but that was kind of a little on up when I kind of got up, up there, as far as my career, when I finally got a chance to work with those guys. But early on when I first started, a lot of us was up and coming. And like I said, as far as the names that I'm grounded with, a lot of people, connect me with, like I said, you named it, like Player Fly, and, my group, Player Posse, Lil E, Slim, Waco, Big O, my brother Terror, y'all know them names. So, yeah.
yeah. A lot of legendary stuff they put out there. Did you ever think, what I'm saying, when you was making those tapes, those underground tapes, that they would be collector's items all these years later? I mean, people pay a lot of money for that
Yeah, man. You know what, bro? I was like, I remember when I first, because I do a lot of other stuff too. Of course, I do the beats, the music. That's my passion. I love everybody know me, and I love the music. But I know, man. I remember, when the internet era and everything started coming in, when everything was transitioning, as far as, the original format over to, the new way people was going to get music and receive music and stuff like that, internet and yada yada. Somebody called me one day and was like, bro, I see one of your tapes online, man. They like selling that junk for like $100. And I'm like, for real? And it was like some of my old shit. And I was like, oh, shit. So, yeah, man, I had to do my due diligence and make some things happen to make sure I got that music to my fan base, man, my peoples, because, yeah, like you said, man, I really didn't know a lot of this stuff that I was doing was going to, stand the test of time. I knew it was good stuff when I was doing it, And I was just really doing it for the hood and, just for the spirit of the time. I really didn't start honestly taking it too seriously until, around, I'd say probably about, I guess when I did Under the Influence, Take One, because I was able to travel and see some things, and it kind of really was like, oh, okay, yeah, some real money in this music. So, but other than that, I was just like, everybody, else coming out of the Memphis, coming out the streets, out the hood, trying to, find my way. And, music, I always liked music because I was in the band and, stuff like that. But, man, no, I didn't know, man. I just knew it was good. That's all I knew. I didn't know it was going to be like, 20, 25 years later, people still like, So, yeah man,
still,
it's a good thing.
They love it overseas, too.
Yeah, they do, man. I really, man. To be honest with you, a lot of my, man, I got my fan base overseas, bro. It's like it's almost unbelievable because I'm like, first of all, how did y'all get this stuff over here? But to know about it like that. But as years went by, it was like a lot of people that I know that like from in the service and like I got a lot of partners of mine, they some of them musicians, they take the stuff across seas and, the military. I got some people I know in the military, they take it across seas and once the internet came into play, man, it kind of really pretty much, made the world a little more, small. So, people had more, access to these things. So I guess that, nowadays people searching online, Memphis is pretty much like always the center of music, anything that's really bubbling, we pretty much, a lot of people don't realize that we control the tone really for the music industry low key from the city. So, man, a lot of people checking for Memphis, man, they run across this stuff and they be like, oh, that's the dude who did this for this and that, and that's the dude, because I did a lot of stuff for a lot of people, a lot of artists I work with, and I've produced on a whole lot of projects, some stuff I did, people don't even know that I did, so, yeah, man, but Cross Seas, man, it's a fan base, man. I appreciate my Cross Seas fan base, man. I really appreciate y'all, man, because y'all, yeah, if it wasn't for my Cross Seas fan base, I really probably be like, but, yeah, man. As far as the, a lot of my older material and things of that nature, because, I got, like, this shit in storage, and half this shit, I got, like, 4-track tapes. I still got a lot of my 4-track tapes, though. A lot of the old original stuff, that I did, and a lot of it I'm, getting redigitized, and a lot of the, the material that I can't locate, and redigitizing it and, and kind of putting it back out there. I ain't trying to over-digitize it and I want to kind of keep it original, close to the original, thing, because I know that's what the people really be digging on. I want to make it all pristine and pretty, but, I want to make it still, professional and then, still likable to my fan base, So, yeah, man, shouts out Cross Seas, man. Shouts out to the Suicide Boys, too, man. They gave me a shout-out. I think I can call it the Suicide Boys from Cross Seas.
I think so.
Yeah, man, because they contacted me, man. I was like, wow, because they wanted to use, like a, I guess a little something from one of my old underground tapes, and they was like, yeah, bro, and I was like, wow, I thought that was pretty cool, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that the cats overseas love the classic stuff more, than a lot of people in the States do, Yeah, you see that too, don't you? Yeah.
They do. It's funny because I used to tell my cousin this all the time, Juice from Snubnose. I used to be like, man, we putting out all this new stuff, we doing all this new music, but it's like every time I would go somewhere and people would always be like, hey, man, you still got some copies of like that old Dream World or that. And I'd be like, yeah, I do, but like, that's the new such and such. And they'd be like, yeah, that's cool, but what the old stuff? And I'd be like, oh, okay, so. So a lot of people, man, they really, respond well to that classic, I guess, it's that raw energy, that organic raw energy, they feeling, because I understand because I'm still a fan of music too. So a lot of, my older groups that I, kind of listened to growing up, I like to keep the integrity of, what it sounded like, I just kind of like the old stuff, it kind of resonated with me in a certain way, so I understand.
It's definitely, with me, I like the old stuff better because you guys use lyrics. You know what I mean? You had substance. You had, it's just the new stuff nowadays. I don't know, man. It's over my head. I can't fuck with it. I'm not hating on these guys, man. They can do what they want. It's just I prefer that era.
Right, and of course, ain't nothing wrong with that. Like I tell a lot of people, everybody got a place where you got to meet them at. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these cats, they just totally oblivious to, a lot of the elements that contribute to the true nature of what we actually doing here, and they don't really appreciate it, until they run across a situation where they have to and they have to adhere to, okay, I see this is what this really is about because, like I said, once again, by everybody having access to the equipment now and, everybody got, everybody online. So, people can pretty much find their own little audience and, what resonate for them. And it just so happens that a lot of people is on a lot of the simple stuff, the stuff that ain't really got a lot going on in the music like we had, going on. They don't really take it as seriously as we did, because we was taking it like, we was taking it seriously. I was doing it, I was, in and out on it, but I was doing it because I really love to do it. But, when I did do it, I took what I did seriously, you feel me? It wasn't like, oh, I'm just doing some, type of attitude. I was just doing something, but then, like I said, I was doing it, like, okay, yeah, when I sit down and write this rap, I want to think of something like cold. When I sit down and make this beat, I want this shit to be, like, stupid hard. You feel me? So, nowadays, it's like everything is a template. It's like you just go in and you can just sound like your favorite artist. You got the template in Pro Tools. You can just pull it up and beat everything, So, it's just a different time,
Yeah, it is. It is a lot more simpler now. Studio time back in the day cost an arm and a leg. Now you just get a program online and anybody can fuck with it, and become a rap SoundCloud page. There you go. Back in the day, you had to really work and perfect your craft.
Right. And and the thing about it is, I guess I can adapt to it because honestly, like when I first started, and this is the funny part about it, and I also stress this as well to people. I be in all these fancy studios, the outboard gear, the rooms, the beautiful studios, and I just be sitting there thinking to myself sometimes, honestly, really, it ain't about this neither because, man, half that shit that people be checking for, like, I just pressed up, we just did, like, vinyl on Dream World and, redid the cassettes, and I got some of the, of course, the CDs online and all that, but, man, I be listening to that stuff sometimes. I be tripping because I be like, they don't even know, dude. It's like totally a sock over a Radio Shack microphone and a 4-track, and I had very minimal knowledge of mixing and mastering, and all I know was it sounded good, and that was it.
Yeah.
I went all technical. I didn't know what the EQ, the highs, and the hertz, and none of that shit, bro. We were just dropping that shit, and it just sound. I picked up a lot of little stuff on the way, from engineers, yada yada, but honestly, man, a 4-track, a microphone, my drum machine, my keyboard, and a room full of, cats, man, turned up, ready to rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just raw, real talent, musical background, like you said, and that's where the best music comes from.
Wu-Tang style type shit in Memphis. That's what I used to look at us like. I was like, we like the down south, like Memphis Wu-Tang. You know what I mean? Everybody's spitting. You feel me, on some grimy shit. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what. Let's give him a taste of that right now. You know what I'm saying? We got this. You know what I'm saying? Play It for Life track. Why don't you tell us about this one right here? For cats that
Which one? You got that little E-Jot?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's
Play It for Life.
That was actually the name. Yeah, that's the name of the Yeah, man, me and my dog E, man, straight out of Red Oak, Binghamton, you know, real as they come, you know, no, no falsified material, you know, everything is 100 done, if you know what I mean. But yeah, man, on that Play It for Life, that's just what we were going with it at the time. There was the vibe, you know, of the era, you know. I think that was like around 96, 97. You feel me?
Yeah, man, it's been a minute, man. I'm glad to be able to reconnect
been a while,
with you,
bro.
10, you know.
For sure, man. Yeah, man. These years get by fast, man. You know.
Absolutely. What's it like when you hear your old music like that, man?
Man, I was just sitting here thinking about that, bro. When you was playing that, that took me back, man. It just shit, man. It just bring back a lot of memories, you know, for me, man. It put me back, you know, when we was dropping this stuff, man. You know, like I said, man, a lot of people don't understand, man. A lot of these songs, man. You know, a lot of people hear these songs, you know, and they be, you know, they don't know a lot of our music, man. It got history behind it. You feel me? It's like some of these songs we were coming up with, like some shit probably had just happened, and like it inspired the song. You feel me? Like right then and there. You feel me? So yeah, man, it's cool to go back and then there's also, man, I'm when I hear that old shit, I be like, yeah, man, we was killing these folks like I thought we were, man. They weren't fucking with us. You feel me?
Absolutely, yeah. Most definitely. Hey, well, you know, it's you know what I'm saying, like I said, man, you coming up in that fucking era. I mean, Memphis was untouchable. There's always three spots I always say that make the best music, and that I've liked over the years: Memphis, Houston, and you know what I'm saying, the third spot I would say the Bay Area. You know what I'm saying? Those three spots, it seems like you guys always come together, you know what I'm saying, and make dope music. A lot of cats work with each other and stuff like that. Even though there's competition, it seems like there's also camaraderie too.
See these areas you name, you gotta look at it, man. You know, and I agree. You know, like what you're saying, because a lot of the fan of, you know, music, you know, from, you know, these areas, you know, I was like a huge Rap-A-Lot, you know, and Ghetto Boys and Gangsta Nip and the Terrorist and Point Blank and yeah, man, and a lot of the stuff, the cats, of course, you know, I was like NWA fanatic. You feel me? Like that was probably one of the only groups ever I was fanatic about. So,
NWA,
you know, Ghetto Boys, of course, but yeah, man, NWA, bro, it was like, jeez, Louise, it was like
Eazy-E just had that voice. You know, you never heard nothing like it before.
It was easy, but I was like, it was always Cube for me. You feel me? It's like Ice Cube, bro. It's like, dude, it's like that was my dude. But yeah, of course, like I said, with Lil J, you know, Mr. Scarface, you know, I'll come up out of that because I really honestly didn't catch on like to the New York thing, you know, and until I got a little older, you know, it had to kind of work in on me a bit because I really didn't care for a lot of that stuff that was only that I kind of like out of New York was like Eric B and Rakim, you know, something like that, you know, maybe, but you know, I just couldn't too much get into that thing now, but I know, like you said, them areas you named, bro, it's like heavily music driven. You feel me? So, and then it's a lot of, you know, I don't want to say a lot of poverty, but we see a lot of difference. You know, in the South, you know, I know out in Cali they got a lot going on. I know down South, you feel me? It's a little more, you know what I'm saying? A little grimier, you know. So, you know, as far as, you know, the stuff we have to deal with, you know, every day, the poverty, the kind of, low, it ain't really like people ain't really just that inspired, the inspiration ain't really like, it's why they don't call it the home of the blues for nothing, you feel me? So, we just vibe a little different, you feel me? So when it comes to the music, that's so deep to our, inner thing to where if it ain't just really got the sauce on it, we ain't just really feeling it like that, you feel me? So.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm going to bring on the homie DJ Lord Sinister, the guy that set this show up for us tonight, because I could sit here and talk to you for hours, and I know he's got some questions he wants to get in. Let me bring him on. Sin, you there, brother?
All right.
Yeah, hi Scott, hi legendary Blackout. It's a real honor to have you on the show.
How you doing, man?
yeah, I'm fine. I studied on your music since a very long time, since '95 these days.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. On the tape Dream World, you used to record it with a Korg X3 like on the cover. To put us with it.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's why I had my cousin draw that for me. But I wanted to make sure he put that on there. I wanted to look, like a dream, real dreamy with the blue, and he did it just like I saw it in my head. But I just had that vision in my head. We used to get like stupid high back in the days and shit. And I was just laying there one day. I was like, man, I just saw that in my, I kind of saw that vision, and that's what the music. That's what it was. Everything was sounding like to me. Everything sounded like how that cover look, you feel me? So he did a good job bringing my imagination, to the platform like that, so everybody can see it, bringing it to life and everything. But yeah, the Korg X3, man, that's my weapon. That was my weapon of choice, back in the day. Because when I came through with that, people already know it's finna get crazy.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of old Memphis tapes, you used cartoons on the cover album. I think about old tapes or old Juicy tape or even DJ Pinky or DJ Sound. All used to do these graphics back in the day.
Right. Yeah, we were kind of ahead of our time. A lot of people used to tell me that a lot. They'd be like, man, y'all kind of ahead of y'all time as far as y'all vision, and because some of the stuff, a lot of people didn't understand. When they saw, some people thought it was dope, and it went over some people's heads, but they eventually caught on to it.
Yeah, and you use the intro with Church from the Hood movie. It's a crazy kid. I'm on bed.
Yeah, man. What's crazy? What's crazy about that is that probably was like one of the first, I think, bootleg movies that I had, and that particular version of Tales from the Hood is from the version that wasn't actually. It wasn't the version that everybody see that came out in the movies. It was like another kind of version of it, and but that part was, of course, it was on there, but it just played out a different way. But man, I was watching it, and I was almost finished working on Dream World, thinking, and I think I wasn't almost finished working on it. I just had started working on it, and that kind of helped drive the set the tone, if you will, for that tape, because that scene, in that movie, kind of summed up a lot that I had going on, inwardly, as far as the way I was seeing my art. I was like, wow, somebody, that's actually shot a major motion picture film, on something that I feel like I could do the soundtrack to this movie. You feel what I'm saying? So, way, that was my own way of kind of, I felt like I was part of that. You feel me? So, it was weird how it came out, but yeah, I always tied that part of the movie, with that because that's when it came out around that time, and I just thought it was dope.
Yeah, yeah. How it was to recall the legendary track "Nobody Is Nobody" with Player Fly, and it was also recorded with the father of Player Fly as a singer. It was a singer of the Ovations, so it was crazy to have him on the song, and it has a Memphis airplay a lot in clubs, and it could get back in the club, even on the radio. Can you tell about this one and the process of recording of this track?
Yeah, man. Like I said, man, I done produced for a lot of people. That was when I was doing stuff for Fly. That was kind of like another kind of sound I was doing with him. Same keyboard, same stuff, but we came over there. Nobody Needs Nobody, man. I started, I knew Fly before I actually, started doing like all his music because he was still with 3 6 Mafia, at the time.
Yeah.
And I was kind of had this little sound I wanted to do, but the stuff that me and my guys was doing, we was kind of grimy with it. So, we really, the tracks I was doing for Fly, I would have little stuff like that, little musical, little stuff, but I would really never just incorporate that into what we was doing, to a certain extent. But when Fly came along, because he was Lil Fly at first, and because when he was with Paul, and usually he was like Lil Fly, and then when I created the Player Fly sound, so yeah, that's when he, so that was like a transition that was kind of meant to happen as well, because he had broke away from them, and I was kind of trying to find a little outlet for this sound I had, going, and it was just perfect timing, man, because we actually had dropped a song while he was still with 3 6 Mafia, but we never did release it because, for obvious reasons, but that was like the first thing I did for him, and I was just trying some stuff out to see what it'll sound like. And man, it was dope. It was like, damn. It was like everybody was like, bro, y'all need to do something together. You feel me? And then like I said, I had left Memphis and did some traveling, and I was out in Texas and all of that. And when I got back to Memphis, I had heard he had broke it off with 3 6 or left them or whatever. And, we just ended up linking back up, and shoot, the rest was history. Nobody Needs Nobody came about, and like bro was just saying earlier, we didn't know that was going to still be like, that's like pretty much the Memphis anthem, where I'm from, and all the surrounding areas, from Atlanta to St. Louis or wherever, they throw that song on and people know it, man. They just turn up to it, so, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of 3 6, what was your relationship back in the day with Paul N.G. Paul N.G. CJ? Did you spoke to him or not?
I really see the thing about them guys is those guys, they older than me, contrary to popular belief. See, I just turned 42, last month or whatever. And I know, like, I got all this gray on my beard, so a lot of people be like, how, I look young, but then I look old. They don't know. But, like, Paul and them used to come and DJ at our, the school I went to. They used to come and, do, like, our school dances and stuff like that. And they used to always play their tapes and this and that and the third, and I would be like, wow. And I'd go over there and speak to them and be like, man, I want to, I'm trying to do what y'all doing one day type thing, and they were some cool guys, though. And some years later on, man, they would see me in the passings, like, when I started doing my tapes and stuff and getting out there and making the name for myself, they'd be like, oh, okay, I remember that dude. And, That's the dude from the school or whatever. And I used to sell. Then I started selling out tapes in the same stores they were selling out tapes in. And then that's when DJ Paul saw me one day. He was like, "Hey, bro, yeah, you doing your thing, man. I remember you. You know what I mean?" Then like Lil Noid, like
Lil Noid for sure. He was a 666 artist, and you produced his whole album, Power Funk. Yes. Yeah.
Right. See, I did his first. See, a lot of people thought DJ Paul and them did that, but see, I did Lil Noid's first tape because we from the same neighborhood, from Binghamton. You feel me? So we went to the same school. See, me and Lil Noid went to school, you know, in junior high and all that. And this was but he wasn't rapping and doing the stuff then. You feel me? Because when I had heard about Lil Noid because he had did a song with Player Fly with 3-6.
Yes.
And
exactly.
I had heard about him, but when I met him, I was like, "You Lil Noid?" You feel me? So it was kind of weird how that happened. And I was like, "Damn," you know. So he was with DJ Paul and them at the time, but I guess they was taking too long to do his album or whatever. So, you know, he saw I was an up-and-coming guy in the hood. I was doing my thing, you know, and I did his first main tape, man. You know, I did every beat on that tape with Tears Are Dropping. Because him and Tiny Man on it and all that. And Tiny Man, he used to be like what I think he was like rocking with Squeaky and them, you know, and all that at the time. So this is kind of how I would kind of establish myself because, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, they was linked up with Paul and Juicy and Squeaky and all that, and I was just a new guy just popping up on the scene, just coming out of nowhere, you know, doing my thing, you feel me? Because I really was, you know, like I said, I was doing other stuff, you know, if you know what I mean, you feel me? I wasn't even really, I was doing the music, but you know what I'm saying? I didn't really, I was just doing it because I like to do it, you feel me? And, man, but, I did. So, Lil Noid really, you know, a lot of people don't know about that history because it's kind of like that's a deep history right there. But, you know, because he pretty much, you know, he was the first one out of our hood to really just, you know, bring that Binghamton, you know, like to the forefront like that, you know, for our generation, you know, because there was some cats, you know, from Binghamton. You know, there was artists, but, you know, we was kind of putting it out there like in a whole nother way, you feel me? And we know he kind of spearheaded that, and he ended up getting into some trouble, and he had to go and do some time, and, you know, we just kept that we just kept that Binghamton, we just kept that vibe going, you feel me? So,
Yeah. You produced the whole album, Power Funk. It was crazy song like In the Dark, Try Me, Alone, My Clip. It's crazy song.
Right. I did all of them. Yeah. That's when I first started too, bro. That was like, honestly, that tape right there is like when I first started making beats, bro. I had just really started making beats and learning how to use my keyboard and all of that stuff, man. So that's some real deep history right there.
When I heard all this song, like on Lil Slim album, Robert with a specialty like Demons, it's an earlier devil shit, you know. For you, who started devil shit? Because some people say some people say you, some people say Psycho as a charge partner, some people say Lil Grim, my homie Lil Grim, or DJ Sound. For you, who started it?
Who started exactly what now, my bro? You say that again. Who started what type of? I think I heard you. But I want to make sure I want to.
I talked about the devil shit, like the son of Psycho.
Oh, you talking about
Psycho's
like
a charge partner,
like that? See, this is the thing. See, a lot of people got to understand. See, my clique, we didn't, and the devil shit, evil thing. We didn't, you know, we was kind of doing that, but yet not. Our thing was more so, it was just real rugged and just like real edgy. And it was so close to the edge that people would kind of twist us in with them, you know, because a lot of them cats, they was like really, really like on that, like you say, that devil shit. But you know, we would look at it, you know, we was just like really in the streets with it. You feel me? So like the stuff we was seeing firsthand, you know, was more so coming from a place to where, we was kind of seeing it from another angle. You feel me? So a lot of our stuff was passive aggression, and you know, we was blowing steam off on the mic, and you know, everything we did was edgy. You know, I was always kind of into the skulls and cut off jean jackets and fucking, you know, I used to wear like Metallica shirts and shit like way, way back in the day before people even, you know, before this stuff even became like something popular. Like I noticed years back, generation, they AC/DC shirts and Slayer shirts, and you know, they don't even know who these artists is. You feel me? But you know, a lot of them don't. You know, some of them maybe. But I was stopping and ask kids, do you know who that group is on your shirt? Like they had like the Megadeth shirt on. They'd be like, nah, I don't know who this is. I just thought the shirt was cool. And I'd be like, yeah, I used to rock them same shirts and shit. But people thought I was crazy. They like, what's wrong with this dude? but to answer your question, man, you know, the only thing I can say, I know that if I would say I started something, you know, if there would be a way to put it, is that I was in my own lane to a point to where I wanted to just kind of create a sound that went with what we was kind of experiencing day to day, because, you know, we was the cats drawing graffiti on the walls, and, you know, we was tagging shit, and, you know, we were just like them guys, you feel me? We was just, you know, that's why people feel the music like they do, because, you know, we was really them guys, you feel me? We wouldn't like, you know, if they would have had cameras and Instagram and shit back then, we probably would have like been like the internet sensation or some shit, you feel me? But yeah, man, we was like really the guys, like, you know, running out the stores, you know, and doing, you know, we was tagging graffiti and shit on the wall and shit, you know. So we just brought that to the music, and you know, and people, you know, it came off aggressive, you know, and you know, we did the skulls, and you know, you might hear us say devil shit, evil shit, blah blah blah, but you know, we wasn't really into the shock rap, you know, evil, you know, like that type of thing. Like some of these other cats, you know, I mean, I ain't knocking, you know, no other groups or artists and everything. I'm just, you know, we were just kind of in our own lane, you know. But we get categorized, you know, with those groups because, you know, it's familiar, you know. I get it, you know. It's like, but yeah, we was coming at it from a whole nother thing. You feel?
Yeah, but anyway, you have your trademark Blackout sound. So your inspiration back in the day in Memphis, you have SMK, of course, Spanish Fly, or Pretty Tony, G Style, all them inspire you for your work. You know, I can hear it. I can hear it in your song.
Yeah, DJ Paul, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. We used to rock that Paul, man. Yeah. Cause like I said, I didn't start. You know, them guys, they was doing it before I was doing it. So, you know, but like, you know, I used to be into like, I don't know if y'all familiar with an artist out of Texas called Gangsta Nip.
Yeah, for sure.
He was the South Park Coalition. You know, Bushwick Gill, the Ghetto Boys especially. You know. You know, so, you know, that kind of stuff like that, and, you know, and I was into a lot of heavy metal as well. You know, I grew up, you know, I was, like I said, the groups like, you know, Metallica and Slayer, and we was rocking shit like that, man. We was on some, you know, we were just, you know, some other shit, you know.
You put us also groups, Ashes of My Blood was a crazy tape, too. And, also, of course, like Lil Gain, Big Time Players. What was Mitchell Heights?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's my guy. See, my guy Slim.
Lil Slim, of course.
Yeah, my guy Lil Slim. You feel me? You know, we we used to rock in high school together and all that. And like he was from the other side, not too far from Binghamton, but across the way, they had Mitchell Heights over there. So he kind of,
like
started representing that.
Like True Black also, of a Dub Smoke.
Right, all them guys, Lil Game, True Black, and all them type guys, they from over there on the other side. But see, I knew
True
them
Black
guys.
Was on your song,
school. Yeah, I went to a few. See, that's one of the schools I went to on their side. Which went too far from our hood, but when I linked up with them guys, there was a whole nother swag right there, cause me and Lil Slim, we put that Mitchell Heights, on the map. Well, he put it on the map, cause that was his hood, and they kind of spearhead a lot of the other cats from that area, like you were saying, Too Black, and
it was on your song, the last song with Lil E. Yes.
Yeah, I did Lil Game. I did Lil Game first tape. Yeah, he was one of my little guys. They was about it over there though. Like I said, they was the reason why I rocked with them guys, because they was some more guys. They was like kind of like how we was. They was really out here with it. In the streets and doing their thing, and they was known. They name rung bells in the streets. In the hood. So I was rocking with them. You see them.
Yeah, and you produced also very talented MC. It was Terror on the first album. Of course, it's whatever in '95. You got to get it crunk or let it creep in. Yeah, it was crazy song. And also, Who Wanna Test on the Out the Frame album 2001. It was crazy. Can you tell us about Terror and his artist?
Yeah. Well, man, that's my brother, man. When he came in, man, he came in strong when he came in, because I would never really let him come in with us, and do what we was doing. I ain't want him around all that, you feel me? But he stayed down, man, till he came up, man, and man, my brother, he went hard at him, and his first joint was his first tape was the It's Whatever. I was like, man, bro, you ready, man, and let's just go on and do you one. And he killed it, man, for his first tape, man, and he killed it so hard to where I was Gangsta Black, like actually hopped on it. He was like the only dude. It had to be something, because Gangsta Black, he was still with 3 6 Mafia at the time, and my brother was coming through so hard, because he had his own little entourage. He was his own man. You feel me? He wouldn't, he was, he was that guy out here. His name rung bells in the streets for real. And man, I did his first tape, and he had like his little clique, the guys he had, man. He was so popular, with his school, and so when we did his first joint, it went crazy out the gate. It just went crazy out the gate, and everybody loved it. And we had to work him in right after we did the Under the Influence, the Take One joint and all that. And I think after after
the Influence 1 and 2. Yeah,
Take Right, and then so we went on ahead and put him up next, because he was ready, man. And Gangsta Black he rocked with him again. You feel me? And that's how the Yes came out. Am I at the frame? Because him and Black had real good chemistry. Because Black, he was, he liked my little brother. He thought he was, he was like, man, I'm rocking with your little brother, man. He the real deal. So, because Gangsta Black, of course, everybody know GB. He most definitely that guy out there in South Memphis. And all that.
SPB Clicks. South Parkway was another flight.
GB the truth, man. And so him and Fly out there, man. Him and Fly was pretty much, they was the top dudes, out in the South. If it wasn't about Fly and Black, it wouldn't. They was the guys.
SPV.
Yep,
South Parkway.
Was the guys. On my end, we was the guys, and they end up coming out there and linking up with us. So So it had to be something, because like I said, them some strong guys. They got their own thing going, and for us to link, like that, it had to be something. It had to be something going on there. So yeah, man. So that's how that came about, man. My brother, man, he came in at the gate, man, and young guy, man. I think my brother, he hopped on the mic. He was like, man, bro was like, man, 15, some shit like that, 14. He was young, man. He was coming out hard though with them bars though at the gate. He wasn't playing no games.
Yeah. Under the influence, I love a song. It was the first song. It was crazy shit. Just a sample you did Sheldon of the Crown music, as a movie. The first song.
On which one?
Under the influence too. That first song. The title of that first song. Too? Yeah.
On Under the Influence too. You talking about all these titles with no battles?
It was that first song.
Is it on Under the Influence 1 or Under the Influence 2?
I think it's under 1 maybe. Yeah. It was a crazy song.
On 1, you talking about when Gangsta Black started off?
Yeah, I think.
No, my brother started that song off. I can't remember, man. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's one. Yes, it sounds like Shadow of the Crown music.
Like that. Yeah, don't put me on the spot like that. But now as far as open your back with this track, get it crunk like crack. There we go. I knew it was gonna come to me. So yeah, that's how Under the Influence 1 started. Because my brother started that joint off, and he started. He started the first one off too. I mean, he started the second one off too, though. Yeah. But which sample are you?
Yeah.
You said something about the sample.
Oh yes, it sounded like Sheldon of the Crown jam of Dr. Bouncer.
No, ain't no sample. No, it wasn't no samples.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Under the Influence 1, it started off. The guy who was engineering the session, he do like the movie thing. And then the beat come in, and I'm playing that because that's coming off the Cool X3 right there. And then on Under the Influence 2, that started off with all these titles with no battles. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
All these titles with no battles. What skills are you a rapper? I think they just come straight in. And the little sample, that little chop, I got that off of man, it was something, man, like some sound discs. I think I had got from like Slice T or the guy he used to do Beats for 3 6 Mafia and all that back in the days. But I ran because that's when I first started using the MPC. So I just had like a lot of sounds cats was giving me. So man, I couldn't tell you where that shit came from, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I had just started. First broke the MPC out on that joint right there.
Yeah. We go with a track Backup. You did back the day, 2003.
Yeah, the track.
And we were back.
Yeah, that was
we can go on the song.
Okay, yeah, what y'all finna play that joint right now?
Yeah, we would play with. Now, can you tell us about this one, about this song?
Oh yeah, man. Well, the Make 'Em Pay was my. I guess that was like kind of round. I dropped that one like when I was kind of getting ready. I ain't gonna say I was getting ready to stop, but I was kind of like, I'm finna do me another tape, CD, and kind of lay off this for a minute because it was a lot going on as far as my actual real life around that time. I just had a lot going on. Man, that Make 'Em Pay was like kind of me just kind of dropping something real dope, and like a lot of it, my vibes on that one was just kind of like, I just felt like making them pay, man. It's self-explanatory, and the Blackout Here So Bag It Up, John. I had kind of before that I had really kind of stopped rapping a little bit. You feel me? And you know, I just broke that out, man, and yeah, what it do? Yeah, man, that was man. That, you know what, man? See, that's the type of stuff that, you know, a lot of people be like, man, you got to go and do another one, Black. You got to go and do another one. But I'm like, man, I'm going to do one, man. You know, I'm one of them type of artists, man. I got to be inspired, you feel me? But the inspiration most definitely coming back. And the more I hear little stuff like that, see, like, they let me know, you feel me? Because, yeah, that was, I remember the space I was in at that point right there, but I was speaking on it a little bit. But, yeah, man, it took me back a little bit right there, too, though.
Yeah, for sure. Can you tell us about the group Snub Nose and even the production you did with Snub Nose Music, the Pimp Forever 95 tape? So can you tell us about this one and the Maze Road Cartel too?
Oh yeah, the Maze Road. Okay, so my cousin Juice, Snub Nose, and Eli, like they were artists that had been, you know, they had been like doing performances and things of that nature, you know, when I was up and coming, and I used to want to go to the studio with them. They never let me go with them. I was a young guy. They be like, we're going to bring you. And I was like, okay, yeah. But so they was doing music, man, and they had been like doing a lot out there in Mississippi, you know, because that's where they pretty much based from. And I was like, who doing stuff in Mississippi? But they was like some of the first guys like on the Mississippi scene, because I was like, cats doing stuff in Mississippi. And they had a night, and what was surprising about it, man, I went down to one of their shows one time, man, and it was like lit. And I was like, what in the world? And these are my cousins, you know, and so, you know, we linked up, man, and we started doing little stuff here and there. And pretty soon it got to a point, man, I was just really like, you know, producing like the majority of the music for them. And the group, you know, at the time it's called Snub Nose, and as well as the label. It's called Snub Nose Music. Yeah. And so, man, you know, I just kind of course, it was quite natural, you know, to hop in on it with my cousin, because, you know, that's my family and all that. So I had my thing going back at the spot, you know, with the Player Posse and my thing, but I would kind of like team up with my cousins, you know, with the Snub Nose Music thing, and they had another little producer they was working with, you know, at the time, and then like they kind of ended up parting ways or whatever, and I just was like, pretty much was like the full-time, you know, producer, you know, exclusive for my cousin and them. So they had some artists that they was working with as well. I know who this other producer was working with, and when I kind of came aboard, everybody kind of started kind of more so gravitating towards me, and when coming through when because I used to go down there like and just hang out and like spend like days down in Mississippi with my peoples, you know, and I take my equipment down there and my keyboards and shit, and like we'll just turn that shit into the, and then, we'll start trapping it out right there, and that's how I like that Maze Road Cartel and a lot of that came about, because, I would be down there and I bring my 4-track, and sometimes they'll like come up here, and they'll rock out with me, and come to the studios with me up here and all that. But, yeah, man, I used to go down there and hang out, man, because it was like a whole nother world. And that's how that whole Maze Road Cartel thing came about, as well as the Snub Nose Off Safety. That was the first project.
Of course, yeah.
The CD, we put together, and
the Genesis, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, man, we had that. Yeah, Mortal Kombat. Yeah, and we had that Ashes Off My Blunt.
Crazy song.
The Ashes Off My Blunt 1 and 2. We just really never, put the 2 out there and completed that one. We still got, but yeah, man.
Boys in the Wood too. Boys in the Wood. Crazy hits.
Huh? What was that?
Boys in the Wood. First crazy hit of Snub Nose too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. The Boys in the that was, because I remember when he first brought the idea to me, like Boys in the Woods, I was like, what? I was like, that's kind of cool, but I don't know though. It was weird, but it grew on me, man. I was like, yeah, that's actually dope. And man, when people when I tell you they literally played, it was like that was back when Devin Steele, like a lot of our radio DJs was kind of first really coming on the scene. And that song, they used the word. That song had got popular for being on. It was a little underground show they used to play on Sundays here in Memphis, and every Sunday they would literally, that song was a must play. If they didn't play that song on Sundays, people would like call into the radio. It was like crazy. Like that song, it was like a weird hit in Memphis on a really underground scene, but out in Mississippi they was eating it up, of course, the Boys in the Woods. But yeah, man, and my cousin, man, shout out to Juice, man. He's real creative guy. Real creative guy, a lot of ideas.
I was in Memphis in back in '95, summer '95, and did your music was played in the Club No Name or Club Expo or Studio G in the 380 Bill Street or even in Juicy G's place or Plus Playhouse. Did your music be played on these clubs sometimes? Back in the day?
Right, man, you going back.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
You know some history. Well, you talking about the old 380 and plus y'all, the old, yeah, they tore that stuff down, man. They taking away all the history around here. The mall in Memphis and the 380, they running wrecking balls through that stuff. But it's
Yeah.
That's why I be telling everybody, man, when you in the moment, stay in the moment, man, because these times are priceless,
Yeah, Club No Name, Club Expo, it was crazy.
That man said Club No Name and Club Expo.
It's a gangster world.
You talking about back when we used to rock that's back when we used to rock the Jerry, like the Nouvos and the curls and all that.
Yeah.
You feel me?
For sure.
Which they know about
when Scarface has the curls.
Yeah, when
back
I dropped
the day.
that.
He got the group man of the hour.
Yeah, man.
That was Edward Jazzy called DOA in the original boil on the OTS record, OTS studio.
Exactly.
Did you go into OTS when Gangster Pat was in? Back the day there was Psycho Evans, Paul and Lord back the day in OTS. Did you go at this time on the studio?
No, I didn't.
No,
see, I didn't really like a lot. Like I said, a lot of them guys, they was kind of ahead of me, as far as what they was doing. I just was kind of, just kind of hopping into the thing, and like early on, because I really didn't, I didn't really start like going hard until like around 94, 95, 96, somewhere, to where I was like, but because other than that, I was listening to a lot of those guys that you name and like trying to get in them clubs that you talking about, Expo and no name.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we couldn't get in them spots. We had to sneak in them, you know what I'm saying? We was, we had to, I had a little cat, I had a little cat used to sneak us in the back door at Denim and Diamonds back when that was hot back in the days, we used to have to sneak in,
Yeah, it was a shame they destroyed Studio G. They totally destroyed now.
Yes,
it was a Muhammad Ali theater before.
Yep, that's the history, man. We got some rich history here, man, and a lot of it, is reflective of these artists we got coming out.
Yeah.
Even in the present, times today, I look at a lot of these young cats, they doing their thing, and it's the same thing we was doing. It's just that, we didn't really have the social media. You feel me? Back then, we didn't have none of that. Our only social media was if your name wasn't ringing bells, in South Memphis and Frazier, and then you just wasn't them guys. You feel me? So it was like, it was like you really had to be doing something. You feel me? Nowadays, you ain't really just got to be doing nothing. You feel me? You ain't really got to be really that guy. You can just really pretend like that guy. Yeah, it's you can just be online, and fronting and flogging like you that guy, but you really not that guy, So, but back in my days, you really had to be that guy, So that's what I'm saying.
Back in the day, if you weren't distributed by Selector Hits, Johnny Phillips, in Memphis, even on the tapes, you have the choice of tapes, about the trunk, or Selector Hits.
Oh man, we of course you laugh because you already know the answer to that question. But I most definitely prefer, see, I'm gonna tell you something about me, man. And my little run in with Selecto Hit. Yeah. I started off selling out of the trunk and underground, so I was used to seeing all my money from my tapes and CDs. You feel me? I was like, my first tapes I sold, man, I was like charging $5 and $6 and and shit like that, just selling them, out of the trunk, I was paying like maybe like $1 and some shit. And see, we was doing, like I said, that was pretty good for us. We went from unfamiliar to, hand-to-hand combat because, we was, of course, we was very familiar with that arena anyway. So that was just something extra to have on deck to have. Hey, man, check this out. We, and that's why we took to the streets so well, because we was like really, out here. You feel me? We was really out here, and we just had them tapes with us, and when I first got my run in with this whole industry thing, and had to wait on my money, and then this guy talking about he ain't got my money, and I'm looking at it like I done sold like 10,000 copies this month, and you talking about you ain't got no money for me, and I wouldn't. That was very unfamiliar territory to me. I went down with none of that at all.
Yeah.
So I started dealing with. I went over a lot of people's heads. I usually deal straight with distributors, and like my money would be understood up front. I didn't do all of the mystery pay on the back end, and you might make this, or you call me when you feel like calling me about my checks, and say we ain't play them kind of games. Cause see, we would click up and like literally like be at your front door, like, you feel me? So we ain't play them kind of games.
Yeah. Even back in the day, you have Black Franklin from the Street Level Graphics, all Memphis made.
Yeah. You said what? The graphics did what, bro?
Oh, I said it was Memphis made, like street level graphics, like Black Franklin, They did all graphics also too. Yeah. Can you tell us about Player Policy, your tape, Bigger and Bigger Tanks, in '96?
Yeah. All right. Well, I actually, it's an artist out of the city goes by the name of Tommy Wright III.
Yeah.
And he had like his little thing going on out there, like in like on the west side of Memphis, and not West Memphis literally, but just the west side, kind of way out. And somehow I ended up linking with him because at the time, I had did some traveling, and I wasn't staying in Memphis at the time, and like I was like, it was something going on with my equipment, or I didn't, what it was is I wouldn't set up to record and do all, and at the time, because I was making a transition, moving back to Memphis and all that, and somebody had knew Tommy Wright. And we ended up going to do a song for Tommy Wright on this album that he was doing, and they paid me and my group Player Posse to do a feature. and they dropped it over Tommy Wright Studio. And when we go over there,
right, Street Smart. His studio is Street Smart Records. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was way out and somewhere, and man, it was just I can say somewhere. He was in the city, but he stay on the whole other side of the city. You feel me? Out
Okay.
there. But it's they grind me out there too though. But it's like it's like kind of going towards Tunica and all of that. You feel me? Tunica, Mississippi. But yeah, man. So we ran into him and we went over there and dropped, and he had like a pretty little decent setup. And at the time, we was talking about while we all together, we need to go ahead and drop like a little tape because we never did get to do the Player Posse tape because like I said, all my guys, they all, they have their individual lives. They all have stuff going on, and and they pretty much bosses in they in their own little lanes. You feel me? Like Lil Slim, like Ian, So once we came together during that particular song we had to do, we was like, man, let's just drop the Player Posse and we'll just drop it over at Tommy Wright's spot. You feel me?
Yeah.
So all of the beats I did that's on Player Posse, Big and Better Things, the recordings, all this stuff I just did like right on the spot. That's why it's really not that many songs on that joint. But all that stuff was like on the fly. Right? We didn't have no plan. We just would go to the studio, and I'll be like asking them like, how you work this? I didn't even know how to really work that shit. To be honest with you, bro, I'm just gonna be flat out honest with you. And but that's like you were saying. That's where that raw talent came in, man. I just made that shit work, and we was like, what we gonna call this shit? And I think Lil Slim was like, let's call it Big and Better Things. And I was like, bet, we rolling with that. And I went to my little art guy, because besides my cousin Juice, I had another little guy from Mitchell Heights, from the hood where, Lil Slim from. So I just, I spread the love over there, and I was like, bro, draw this Player Posse joint for us. And he had that joint ready for us like in a couple of days, and he hand drew it, like hand to hand. And I went to like Kinko's and cut the tape, man. It was, bro, we, like, you know what I'm saying? We was grinding that shit, man. We was like, I was going to Kinko's and getting construction paper and making that shit look like a real tape cover. And we was ordering the cassettes and shit from the distributor, and like making the tapes up ourselves and shit, bro. That shit was grinding, but we was making this shit happen. And there was also the first tape that we did that actually had the print on it, that it was the clear tape with the little white stamp, had actual, the words, as opposed to the stickers, because some of the tapes used to have the stickers. Because I ended up doing the Dream World. Actually, I take that back. On the Dream World, was the first one we did like that. Then I did the Player Posse like that. Yeah.
Catch Some Other Case was a classic.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the Player Posse, that's how the Player Posse came about. We did it. We dropped that junk like, man, shit, couple of weeks tops, bro. Couple of weeks tops. We was in there every other day, coming up with the shit off the fly. We didn't have, we just man, go in there, turn up, get high as fuck. I ain't gonna lie, we get high as fuck. And we just go in there and just bum rush them folks' studio, man, and we did our thing, man. That's how the Big and Better things came. Yep.
What's your plan now for the future, and also how
you said the plans for
Legendary Blackout? What's your plan for the future and production now for these days?
Oh man, same as it always been. Honestly, man, I don't put too much on it. I got some. I got a lot of ideas. I got some plans. But it's just pretty much the same. As it's been. Since the onset of this thing. Just get better and better what I do, and and find new ways to reach my fan base, and connect and work with people who vibe like I vibe. I got a few artists I'm working with now. I always wanted to see people, kind of, take their craft, and in a way I can help, kind of enhance whatever they doing, because, besides my group, a lot of people don't know, but you have to be from the city to know or really just be rooted. A lot of people got to understand, I do a whole lot as far as the music scene here, as far as, and working with a lot of people that, a lot of people really didn't even know I worked with, you feel me? And a lot of these people have went on to stardom and, and they making millions of dollars now, and, and it's a good thing, because they still show me love and blah, 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 blah. And, because a lot of these artists that's out now, I literally remember when they was like walking in the studio for the first time, so my plans, man, really is just to just continue, man, just getting better at what I do, man, and putting that music out and, and just, keep putting my vibe out there, and make them see it the way I see it. Hopefully they get it, you feel me?
Yeah, it would be dope you come overseas in France, Germany, Europe, because you have a fan base over there.
Yeah, man, me and my cousin was talking about that yesterday, man. He was like, we're going to have to go on and get them passports, man, so we can go on and, and get on these 2-day flights and all of that. Because he know I don't too much care for airplanes and all that. I remember I had to ride them at one point in time when my career really started, because, like I said, I really never cared for breaking the industry per se. I was always cool with being like the guy that they're going to have to find and, and seek out for on some real grimy underground type shit. But, a lot of my, my fans and supporters and whatnot, and, they be like, man, you got to do this with that, or you got to put, So, I really because a lot of my fans, they really keep it, they really keep the fire going, because it's like me, like I said, I do other shit, so I'll be doing that, and then, like, my direction, my attention to go elsewhere. And the fans will help keep me reminded, hey, tap me on the shoulder to be like, bro, don't forget about us over here. We still rocking with you. So, man, it's just, it's just what it
for
is.
your fans and supporters, give them your social media. Can you tell them even your Instagram?
Yeah, I got I'm starting to get more social media with it, because I'm in and out on that, but I got the fans can find me. I got like Instagram. I just started. It's UNDA GROUND BLACK Underground Black. And then of course you got the legendary Blackout. That's like my personal Instagram. But you can find it on there. Really, honestly, man, to be totally honest with you, bro, they can just Google legendary Blackout, man, and I got like a website, and I got a lot of little social media platforms that I'm rarely on, but they can find me out there, man. You can just Google Blackout Memphis, or you can just Google legendary Blackout, and I pretty much come up in the search engine, as they say, so I'm search engine optimized this day.
Right. It was an honor to have you on the Murder Master Music Show. And we end with the song Club Friendly of Play Your Fly. It was a crazy song, crazy production. Can you tell us about this one?
Yes, sir.
Club Friendly.
Well, I had been, of course, working with Fly, from his first CD. I did, like, pretty much all Fly stuff, to be honest with you. I probably did all of his music except maybe, like, 4 tracks on all the projects, from back in the day. But, so there was one in particular to where I had this project I had to do on these people I was working with directly out in Nashville, and I had an idea for a song that I was like, bro, you should do a song like a club song, because like that was kind of getting hot at the time, and And Tila, he's from Memphis too. If y'all familiar with Tila, because we all I know his producers and all that, and they had did the Girls in the Club, type of thing, and I was like, we should do something kind of like that. You feel me?